This is Kitco News special coverage of the Future Minerals Forum.
Hello and welcome back to Kitco Mining with me, Paul Harris, here at the Future Minerals Forum in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Joining me now is Mark Bristow, President and CEO of Barrick Gold. Mark, welcome back to Kitco.
Thank you, Paul.
Now, we're here at the FMF. It seems to be a very, very impressive event. What is the vibe here for you? What has been of most interest to you about this event?
Well, I think, if you look back at the beginning, it's about an open and honest conversation, and that's certainly continuing. And I think the whole thesis is around how do you create investability in the Deep South? And that's, Africa, South America, and Central and Asia and Middle East. And as you know, that's a place that Barrick is very focused on. So those conversations are continuing.
Now, geographically, we are in your Africa and Middle East division. So let's start there. You're a partner in the Jabal Sayid mine here in Saudi Arabia. How is that going, and is the company looking for more investment opportunities in Saudi Arabia?
Jabal Sayid now is really operating well. It's one of the richest copper mines in the world. It's relatively small but extremely profitable. It's got about 9 to 10 years of reserves left. We are continuing to explore around the mine, and we have made applications for additional permits to extend the opportunity to expand the life of the mine. And it's a partnership with Ma'aden, so that's been very constructive. And again, we are very committed to growing that partnership with Ma'aden, focused on our preferred metals, which is gold and copper. And we're right in that zone when you're in the Arabian Shield.
And is that partnership, is that relationship perhaps something you can take outside Saudi Arabia? Ma'aden, I understand, wants to sort of grow as well, not just in its home country, but abroad, elsewhere as well. So are they a potential development partner with you in other parts of the world?
Yeah, I would put it differently, and that is Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, is a partner because it's got many facets to that. And as you've heard in this conference, there is a desire to play a role in the whole Deep South part of the world. And so, whether it's Ma'aden or Manara or the Saudi Development program, there's a lot to do, and I think, and I don't think, it's our desire to continue to do that. And of course, they've expressed interest in our Reko Diq project, and on top of that, we are working to develop a partnership within that region near the Reko Diq mine as a separate investment.
Now, a lot at this conference is focused on international relations, geopolitical risk, country risk. There were delegations here from, I think, 90 different mining ministers from around the world. Saudi Arabia is definitely looking to sort of bring different actors together. You've mentioned the sort of the Deep South or the Global South and the ability to mine there. So let's talk about Mali, another country within your Africa and Middle East division, and one where you're experiencing some difficulties at the moment with the military government as it seeks greater rent from the mining sector, leading you to this week suspend operations at Loulo-Gounkoto after the government seized some of your gold. How is the situation in Mali?
So it's dynamic is probably the best way to describe it. But at this stage, we are very focused on finding a solution to go forward. As you know, Mali is the very foundation of my business development. That's where we started Randgold Resources. We've had a very strong relationship with the Malian people and its many governments over time, and the debate is around understanding, and who we are and what we've done and what we stand for, and we stand for very clear and transparent benefit sharing, and I believe in that, and also transparency, and I think as we get closer to be able to have an open and frank dialogue, we will definitely find a solution on a way forward for Mali. And I think this conversation that's happening now is a conversation that's important for Africa, because it's about how do you create investability in the developing world. So it's a complex situation. I think some of it built on misunderstanding, but as I grew up in South Africa, end of apartheid, finding solution, the Truth Commission, and that's dialogue is the only way to solve issues, and so we are restricted on exporting gold at the moment. This is not a malicious response. It's a practical response. We said temporarily, winding the operations down, and we will put them back up and bring it back into production very easily once we find a solution on a way forward.
It does, as you choose your words, Mark, it does seem to be a very dynamic situation and one that is changing rapidly. It was, 2023 when the government put in some changes to the mining code, and people are just digesting that when these latest incidents, actions by the government occurred. I think some people are curious the fact that while there's many mining companies active in Mali, the government hasn't approached every company, or at least not yet. Do you have any insight as to what the government is actually trying to achieve?
So my objective is, I'm very hesitant to have a public negotiation because this is something between the Mali government and Barrick, and what is important is, Mali historically was a place that attracted investments. How do we get it back there? How do we open up and educate everyone through full transparency? And I've always said, what's good for Mali is good for everyone. That's the host country, and there's I think there's learnings out of this. The importance of us communicating as an industry, probably more comprehensively, and full transparency, both at government level and in the investor level.
Mark, you said that this is a theme, a topic that goes beyond Mali and perhaps talks to the investability in Africa in a broader sense. And recent times I've seen other countries in Africa seek to increase government take as well. Is there a danger that other governments will see what's happened and perhaps think, well, if the government in Mali can increase its government take, why can't we perhaps try and do similar things to increase the take in our countries?
So I think the importance is understanding, because sure, you can increase your one's take, but it's usually done through royalties, which drive up the costs, which shrink the life of mine. And so it's about, the most important thing that mining brings to any country is fixed investment. And, I've always said when you invest in mining, you can't move the mine. And with it, as I believe in, is that we should invest in the people of our host countries, and we have, and Mali is probably our best example. It's a mining complex that's run by Malians, and in fact, over time, we've got senior Malian executives across the world who come out of that investment and before that Morila. And so absolutely it's a challenge to the industry, but it's also a challenge around how important mining is as a developmental tool. And so this conversation is important, and I think it's important for the mining industry itself, because it's not just about mining metals; it's about making a difference. And I've always said, everybody always, and particularly investors, tend to say to drive mining investment back to the developed economies. And what this world needs is investment in the emerging and developing economies. And that is really where the challenge lies for a better future for everyone on this planet. I think you can put batteries into Californian cars, but you're not going to save the world. You'll reduce pollution. But you have to, and this world needs to invest in the emerging markets to be able to uplift people out of poverty and create a future.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that the Global South has been claiming, isn't it? They want the right to develop and enjoy the same standard of living as people in the developed world do. Now, Barrick is one of the gold sector leaders, but I think it'd be fair to say that the performance has been eclipsed by some of your competitors in recent times. You have a lot of good catalysts coming in the not too distant future. Will 2025, will this year be the year in which investors see a turnaround in Barrick's performance?
I think it's certainly a milestone year for us. We understand that. I think it's in mining. You've got to be careful what you define as what good looks like. And it's a long game. And we embarked on a very ambitious plan to put Randgold and Barrick together. We've delivered a lot in the last 6 years, and at the same time we've replaced all the gold and copper that we've mined, and we are this year with the bankable feasibility studies out of Lumwana and Reko Diq, and the completion of our work in PV, is we're going to add additional ounces and pounds of copper to our portfolio. So we want, when you stack us up against our peers, we have really built a long runway, and that's the game. And that's the game here that's discussed with, one thing Saudi can teach us all is about long-term vision, long-term plans, ambitious plans. And, I would suggest that we stand up to those challenges.
That's interesting, Mark, because that's a comment I've heard several times here today and yesterday, is the fact that the Saudi Arabian government has more of a long-term investment horizon in mining, whereas perhaps investors in North America have got too short-term to really be a good fit for the mining sector.
Yes, and I see, it's when you look at the gold industry, exactly, we're still struggling to get long-term money into the gold industry because it's a trading platform, and so running a company like Barrick is the challenge is balancing that, and that's why we've seen. Overall, the equities haven't done as well as they should have done in the bullion market that we've experienced over the last couple of years. But in the long run, if you can demonstrate that you've got optionality as well as the ability to deliver returns to your shareholders, you'll get recognized. And, we've been through these periods before.
Now, as 2025 gets underway, Mark, how do you see the setup for gold and for gold companies?
I think, we've never been in a more unclear place, or we haven't been in such a complicated position as a world for a very long time. And, whether it's deglobalization, whether it's the multiple conflicts that we're dealing with, a new and complete revolutionary change in American politics. You know, there's a lot going on. A change across the world, and we saw a large percentage of the globe go to elections last year, and some of the big economies are still going to go through it this year. So it's been a big transition and a big change. And I think, you know, what the Saudi kingdom are presenting is real, is that they stand here at the divide between the East and the West. And they understand both sides of that divide. So it's an exciting time, and I think they, you know, to your point, they have a long-term vision. They've grown up with natural resources, one of the most exciting ones, which is oil and gas, and they've taken and they seeking to take their experience into the metals and minerals industry, which is not a bad thing at all.
We just interviewed one of the Saudi Kingdom ministers, and he was very clear on that they're looking to build on the experience they've garnered over decades of developing their oil resources with partners to deploy that in the mining space. Okay, it's going to be a transformative year for Barrick Gold. Where do you want the company to be by the end of the year?
You know, I think our focus is at the end of the decade. 2028 is a big year for us. We're going to bring Reko Diq first production, Lumwana expansion first production. PV will get to where we want it to be by early next year. So this year's a continued ramp up. It's a world-class asset, 20 years of life, over 800,000 ounces run rate. So that's a big part of it. Nevada has, been work in progress. I think we're going to show you that, there's still a lot more to come. We've got 4 Mile sitting in the middle of the Nevada Gold Mines portfolio, and how do we bring that to account? And of course, Africa, Tanzania is a great example of partnerships and success, and that came out of a crisis very similar to Mali. And so, I've always been optimistic. Mali's a very special place for me, personally, and I'm, really committed to do what needs to be done to find a way that we can create a sustainable mining industry, or recreate a sustainable mining industry in Mali.
I wish you the best of luck in finding a solution that works for everybody in Mali. Mark Bristow, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Pleasure.
We have a lot more to come from the Future Minerals Forum here in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, so stay tuned and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm Paul Harris, and this is Kitco Mining.
This is Kitco News special coverage of the Future Minerals Forum.